right, today we've got BJ Macfarland here at Hepler Realty. We're going to go through what he has done in the past, what brought him here to Hepler Realty, several things. So listen up, and we're to introduce one of our newest agents here at Hepler Realty. BJ, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. So we're going to go through a few things. We're going to question you up here and see how many good answers you got. See how many crazy things you've done in the past career. So what did you do? Just let everybody know what you did before real estate.
Before real estate, I was officer with the High Point Police Department.
Okay.
I recently retired from there after 27 and a half years of working. And I did a little bit of everything there investigatively. So I started as a patrol officer, and then I worked in our street crimes unit, our vice narcotics unit, strategic intelligence unit, and a supervisor for patrol, strategic intelligence unit, our violent crimes unit, our professional standards division, and then I ended my career as a captain supervising a patrol team.
Okay.
So a little bit of everything.
I was going to say, that's a lot. That's a lot more than I thought you even did.
I was able to retire just a little early. I had 2.5 years of sick time built up. So which allowed me to leave just a little bit early. So I got credit, according to the state, for 30 years of work at the High Point Police Department.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you doing that. That's a pretty big commitment. I mean, I think everybody would agree for you and your family as far as that long in law enforcement. That's quite a feat. 27 and a half years is a long, long time. What was the part that you liked the most before we get into police? What did you like the most about being a policeman?
I guess the thing I like the most is that you're always helping somebody. They may not necessarily see it as help, but you're always helping somebody some way.
Right.
Sometimes it is you could consider it tough love. Arresting somebody may not seem like they're helping them, but sometimes that's the thing that they needed to help them.
Yeah, regardless if they
or
realize
you're helping
it or
the
not.
people around them.
Right, getting them out of that situation.
Yes.
Sure. Yeah, a lot of people don't probably realize that, but I can see how that would be 100% true on a lot of situations. What do you think your biggest challenge was as far as getting into, if somebody on the force, either there or another city, and probably knows you, 27 and a half years, I'm sure that most of the police departments know, at least your name. What was the biggest challenge that you had getting into that career?
The biggest challenge just to getting into the police department, I got really lucky. I did at least with High Point, I did my internship in college at High Point University before I applied. So I knew several people there. So having done the college internship there kind of helped because they had a chance to know me. So that's where I got lucky with High Point. High Point was really the only place I applied. I think now somebody wanting to go into policing, most police departments across the country are short of people, so they're looking for good applications. The trick is to go in clean. Don't use drugs. Don't get arrested. Don't have a domestic violence history. So those.
It's a clean history as far as when they pull it up. Yeah.
Because they're going to ask you about that, and don't lie. If you did some of that stuff, talk about it early. There's a lot more leeway now than there was.
Yeah.
Because agencies are so short. What jams people up most now is they go in there and they have something in their history and they lie about it. And when you lie on the application or you lie throughout the process, that's almost an immediate dismissal.
And plus too, they gotta understand they're going to the police department. It's a bad idea to start lying and run off the bat, especially if you're wanting employment.
That's one of the. My middle son is going there now.
Oh, is he? Okay. Yep.
My middle son is currently in the. He just started our mini school. We just finished our police academy. He's going to High Point too, or he's at High Point, and he said, I got told like 9 different ways to not lie by like 9 different people in his first. So that's how serious we take that part. We can excuse a lot of things. We can excuse a lot of mistakes, but lying's not one of them.
Right. I would imagine that's fairly important to the police department.
Pretty big integrity.
Right.
Integrity point. If you don't have your integrity, then without integrity, you can't be a police officer.
Yeah. Before that, where are you from, and where have you lived mostly here in North Carolina?
I grew up on the Eastern Shore of Maryland.
Maryland,
little
okay.
Eastern Shore of Maryland. I grew up about 5 miles outside of a little town called Ridgely, Maryland. Not a very big town. It's 1 mile by 1 mile is the city limits. Even currently, I don't think it has a stoplight yet.
Nah.
So small town there, and I lived outside of there, and I lived there until I came to High Point. I came down to High Point for High Point University.
Okay.
So I'm a High Point University graduate, political science major. Political science major that generally doesn't like politics. So go figure there. And then I got hired with High Point, and I lived in High Point for most of my early career, and then I moved outside of Walburg a few years ago.
Okay. What made you come to Hepler Realty as far as real estate? I mean, I guess really the question is what made you want to go into real estate, and then why Hepler Realty?
Going into real estate, for some reason I've always paid attention, like when a real estate sign goes up, a for sale sign, or ride through a neighborhood and you'll see something, you're like, oh, they're doing something on that house, and so you keep a check on it.
Right.
Or, oh, it looks like somebody's moving into that house, or somebody's moving out of that house. I wonder if it's for sale. And so that's just kind of been an interest.
Yeah, an interest. I got you.
I guess I would say that if looking at it, if there's a goal of mine in real estate, one would be to, not necessarily that I have to do it, but one would be to find like an old farmhouse and be part of somebody restoring it.
Okay.
Again, not necessarily me restoring it. That may not be the goal. I think it'd be awesome to do it.
Yeah.
But to find something like that, something with a lot of character, and bring it back to life.
That'd be good. Yeah.
I guess the second goal is kind of the same thing, but on a commercial level. It's to find a cool old building or a cool building and do something with it that may or may not be conventional.
Mm-hmm.
And an example I'll use is I went to a management school in Kentucky, and there's a restaurant that was put in an old church. And so the outside of the church still looks like a church building, but when you walk in, I mean, it's a full-fledged restaurant inside this big old church building. Hmm. But they did a good job of how they just laid out the restaurant, and I was like, that would be really cool. So maybe something like that. Now, how I came to Hepler Realty, I feel like I kind of owe you an apology for that.
Uh-oh.
It's basically like, hey, let's go to lunch. And then when we went to lunch, I pretty much told you I was coming to work for you. And that was kind of...
I do remember that. That's okay.
It's kind of like,
right.
I think I'm going to start with you next Monday if you're okay with that. So I almost feel like I strong-armed my way in here.
Well, we'll take that. But, I mean, I could have been, I was looking at your past. I was like, well, he's been a police officer for 27 and a half years. If he wants to work here, he can work here.
I don't remember who referred you to us, but you sold our second house.
That's right, yeah.
Now, this was back in...
This is years ago, yeah.
It was. It was back when real estate was still in the newspaper and they still had the real estate books.
Been a minute.
And you showed up and you talked us through the whole process. And, before drones were a big thing, you had a drone.
I did.
You put a drone up and you were showing us drones on what you could do with a drone. And again, like nobody was using those yet. So you showed us the marketing for our house and you walked us through that and you walked us through the whole process. And I remember telling Carrie that if I ever become a real estate agent, that's the type of agent I want to be.
That's awesome.
Because you broke it down in ways that we could understand. It wasn't a whole lot of real estate jargon. It was like, well, this is what your house would be worth. This is what we could probably sell it for. This is the average square footage. And then you probably showed us about 10 other houses. We were looking to sell our house, and we were looking to maybe move into one that needed some fixing up.
A little
So
bit
you
of work.
probably showed us
Right.
10 other houses, but it was always the same approach. It was, this is the house. This is what I see. This is what they've disclosed. And then this is my thoughts on it. This is my opinion, and this is where it plays out. And I've always thought if I was going to be an agent, that's the type of agent
That's great.
I wanted to be.
That's awesome
So
to hear.
that's-
It really, really is. That's awesome to hear. What do you think your favorite part of this part of your life, as far as career wise, listings, buyers, that kind of thing? What do you think your favorite's going to be?
I think my favorite is going to be helping the person get in that house, or helping the person get in that building for a business.
Okay.
Because it's just like with policing, where you're always helping somebody. This is helping somebody realize a goal, or realize a dream, or a hope. So
True.
Helping somebody get in a house. I mean, home ownership is a goal, but for a lot of people, it's a dream too. And sometimes they don't know that it's a dream that they can achieve. But so helping them achieve that goal and that dream, I think, will be very rewarding.
Sure.
And one of the things that I learned, and I learned it a little too late, when we were looking for the house we're in now, we sold ourselves short. We're like, oh, we couldn't afford that. We couldn't afford that. And so we were looking in a price range that was, that were lesser houses than what we probably could afford it. So my advice would be, go talk to your bank early to find out what you can actually afford.
Mm.
And then scale it based on your budget. But we could have had a little more budget for a house, and I'm happy. Again, I'm happy with where I'm at. But we would have had a little bit more of a budget for a house, which could have changed where we ultimately moved. So that's go to the bank, find out what you can afford, scale it back a little bit, and know your budget and stick in your budget. Don't get super excited, but let me help you fulfill that dream.
I think that's a great point for a new buyer. What he's saying, guys, is, you don't really know what you can actually look for until you know what you're qualified for on a loan. I mean, unless you guys have deeper couch pockets than me and BJ here, and can go buy one in cash. We have had some cash buyers, but that's not usual. That's not the usual. So get with a good lender, and definitely that's good advice. Get a qualification price. And by the way, you are qualified for the monthly payment, not the amount. Why do I say that? It could change. A $200,000 house in the city is going to be a different payment than a $200,000 house in the county. So just remember, it's not the majority of the purchase price that they are qualifying you for. They're seeing what you can afford monthly. So let's go over. You're in real estate now, and you're doing your thing. And what time frame, I guess, is my question next to you. What do you think? You're probably right at my age. Do you think this is something that's going to, you've seen enough. You hadn't really had a whole lot of stuff, from the time you've been here yet, but you think this is going to be something that you're going to carry on for years, or what do you think on the real estate career?
I do. I think I could carry this on for years.
Yeah, I think you can. That's why I'm asking you. I know my answer.
Yeah, I knew the answer before I asked. I don't. One of the things I've seen in the training is that real estate agents is a fairly high turnover career. There's a lot of people start it, and then within the first year,
yep,
they're no longer doing it.
Yep.
I don't know the exact number. I don't remember the exact number of kind of how many people fall out of it, because I do have a base. I don't necessarily need the deal, so this is kind of more of a more for enjoyment than it is necessarily for.
That's a great
income.
place to be. And
I'm very lucky that way.
That's really good. And earlier you said, what I like to hear is, you like helping people, being a policeman, and now you're trying to help people, get into their properties. That's an awesome place to be. You don't have to have it say, right in the middle here. What how can they get a hold of you? We'll put it on the screen too, but what's the best way to get a hold of you?
The best way is my cell phone. I came from an era that when the phone rings, you answer it. So I still answer my phone, and a profession when the phone rings, you still answer it. So 336-823-4331. Or you can always email me. It's bjmac at heplerrealty.com.
All right, BJ Mac at heplerrealty.com. So that's BJ and then MAC at heplerrealty.com. And you can definitely get a hold of him to
call, text, or email.
Call, text, or email, he says. So definitely do it. Definitely do it. We will see if he answers if you guys call in the next 24 hours here. All right, so we're glad that you're here. As far as at Hepler Realty, what was your hardest or craziest time there, as far as any kind of story you got?
From an early one, this is kind of how I knew I was kind of gonna be okay. So I was just released on my own, so right out of training, right out of FTO, and then I will say that going through FTO, which FTO is our field training officer. You're riding with a veteran officer, and they're teaching you how to be a police officer. It's about 16 weeks of training, and then at the end of that, they go, "All right, you're a police officer. You're a full police officer now. You get your car. It's all you." And so I think it was actually within the first week, and I get dispatched to a normal call. I was always good at report writing, so I get dispatched to a normal report writing call. And it's a larceny from motor vehicle. Somebody stole something out of somebody's truck. So I get there, and they tell me they stole this tool, that tool, and I'll tell you who did it. It's this house right down the road. And I was like, okay, well, I'm the police now. I'm going to investigate this. And I start walking down the road. I'm walking down the middle of the road in High Point, kind of the double yellow line. And out of the very house I'm going is I see the door open, and a short white female comes running out of the house, and she doesn't have any clothes on.
Okay.
Followed by a skinny black female that's got 2 handfuls of hair, and she's trying to yank her back in the house. Out of the very house I'm going to. And, everything's happened so quickly.
Sure.
Like I said, this is my first week of being out on my own.
They set you up right the first week.
And they come out of the house. And I remember thinking, this is probably something. I draw my gun, I start issuing commands. But I remember thinking in my head, this is probably a situation where you should have your gun out and issue commands. But I'm already doing it. So that quickly I go, well, maybe I'm going to be all right at this.
Yeah.
Up until then, I was like, every day I'm going to get fired. Because you just don't know what you're getting into.
Right.
So every day I'm like, they're going to fire me today because I'm not as good as everybody else. But that solidified that I think I'm going to be okay at this. I will say probably the question that I got asked the most, usually it was by kids. But some adults asked it too, but have you ever shot anybody? And my answer is no. I've not ever shot anybody. But on there's 2 times that the closest I'd ever come.
Pretty close.
And it's pretty crazy how fast your mind works and how quickly you can react to those situations. One was a disturbance at a bus stop involving kids. And so I was right around the corner. I've been an officer for a while at this point. I think I was in our street crimes unit at the time. And just happened to be there, close. So I answer the call, show up, and there's a bunch of kids, like elementary school age kids, outside of a bus. And it was bunch outside, bunch on the bus, and I just thought, looked like a fight on the bus. And as I'm walking towards the door of the bus, I hear one of the kids go, "Holy shit, she's got a knife!" And I look, and I see what I thought was a woman coming and had a knife in her hand, and is talking with a knife in her hand, like she's come. There's a difference in somebody carrying a knife and somebody's going to cut somebody.
Oh yeah.
And so coming, and I'd made the decision. I'm issuing commands, but it's not. They're not doing They're not saying doing what I'm doing. And eventually they started making a circle, walking around in circles, and you could just tell irate, mad with a knife, walking in circles right at the back of the bus. And in my head, I made the decision because I'm wading through kids at this point. I'm putting kids behind me. I'm wading through kids. And I was like, if they make it past the corner of this bus, I'm going to have to shoot them. Ultimately, they put the knife down. I was able to walk over and step on the knife and take her into custody, so didn't have to.
That's great.
Didn't have to shoot.
That's good. That's some close calls for sure.
But the heartbreaking part about that one was it was a 14-year-old.
Oh wow!
And she was at the bus stop and got picked on by her peers. Went home and got a knife and was going to come back and cut them over something that the kid said, and so that messes with you because I almost shot a 14-year-old that looked like a grown person carrying a knife.
Sure.
So that was my first almost.
Gosh.
And my second almost was a little later in my career, kind of towards the end of it. Was worked during furniture market in High Point, and somebody had got in a disturbance at a restaurant, was apparently being fired because they were drunk on the job, and then went back to their moped and came back in the restaurant and threatened people with a gun.
Really?
And so they get on the moped and then they start towards downtown. And I'm riding around in the area because it's towards downtown, towards market, and during market everybody's working. So there's a lot of cops downtown. It's probably not where you want to go do something because there's cops everywhere. And I'm driving down the road and I end up seeing the moped matching the description, and I see a guy standing at the window of a car that matches the description, and I stop my car, I get out and I start talking, issuing commands, and he turns and he's got a shirt up and it almost looks like a bazooka. It's tucked in his waistband. I mean, that's how big the gun looked.
Yes.
And so I'm approaching him and I'm again issuing commands and he's not listening either.
He's not doing it.
I get a little closer, and I don't know if the people in the car are friendly or not. I don't know if they're friends of his, friends of mine. If he's just doing, getting in a disturbance with them. So I don't know anything about them. So one of the things they teach you very quickly when you're shooting is you've always got to worry about your backdrop.
Yeah.
So I can't shoot them because there's other people right there. And as I get closer, I'm close enough that I'm not close enough that I can get my hands on him, but I'm close enough to interact with him. He starts to reach for his gun.
Oh,
and
Lord.
if it was, I think it was a big 44. I don't remember what the actual gun was, but if he would have started drawing and pointing it at me, my options would have been limited at that point.
Sure.
And I remember I just kind of rushed him, and I pinned him against the car. So if the car would have moved, we'd have likely been hurt. I pinned him against the car, and I pinned the gun in his hand so that he couldn't move.
Oh, wow.
And, I kind of tucked my gun in so that I'm keeping it in case I have to use it.
Right.
But I've got him pinned against the car, me pinned against him, and I just remember one of the backup units coming and just kind of coming and saving the day. So I didn't save the day. All I did was hold him in place, but one of the other units showing up kind of came and saved the day for us.
You will not have, hopefully, you will not have that here at Hepler Realty as far as an issue. We hope not. If that's a really bad closing, if you have to do that. hopefully that's those days are behind you. I'm sure.
Let's hope.
Let's go a little bit into your personal deal. You got obviously you've said you got kids. You've been married. How long you been married?
Almost 28 years. It'll be 28 years.
28 years.
I actually started my police career the week before I graduated college.
Oh, wow.
Okay. And then I got married in July of the same year. I graduated college, or I started policing, graduated college, got married, all in 98.
Wow. Okay. So this is going on recording, so you will not forget your 30th that's going to come up. Your wife won't let you forget that either, but make sure you don't forget that's a big one. That's awesome. That long being married is really, really good.
Yeah, she's put up with a lot.
What you've been here long enough to know? I mean, what do you think Hepler Realty in a whole. What did you choose Hepler Realty over the others that probably came into the real estate class?
So I did my real estate class online, so I didn't have a lot of people coming and pitching. But,
Gotcha.
one of the things that I noticed, or one of the things that happened, and I wasn't expecting it, was right after passing the test and getting my license, I started getting all these letters in the mail from this firm and that firm, and congratulations on getting your license. And most of them kind of had the standard spiel, come work with us. We'd love to talk to you. But somewhere in the middle there, one letter, it was in the second paragraph, is, we can get you started on a 6-figure career in no time. My thought with that letter specifically was, if you're pitching in the second paragraph how much money, then that means that agency's about money.
Oh, I see what you're saying. That was not us, by the way.
No,
we did not
it
send him a letter.
wasn't Hepler Realty. That was probably the what I'll call the worst one of those recruitment letters. It kind of made me feel like, if you've ever gotten a speeding ticket and then you get all these attorney letters, like, we can get you out of this ticket, we can get you out of this ticket.
Kind of made you feel like that.
Kind of how I felt about that. Now, it flattered me a little bit, because I didn't think anybody was even going to know I passed the test, and I'm getting all these letters. So I appreciated that part. But for the ones that mentioned the 6-figure career almost immediately, that was kind of a turnoff, because this part, and again, I'm lucky that I have a good base with my retirement, but this wasn't necessarily a career about money. Now, don't get me wrong, I do
Sure,
want to make money.
Yeah, absolutely.
But right now, I feel like I'm doing a lot of volunteering, because I haven't bought or sold anything yet. But this is only a little bit about money. It's more about helping people. But so that was something else that, and all the times I've interacted with you, it wasn't about the money. And I know money's a big deal. Again, pointing towards Hepler, I've bought 3 houses and sold 2 personal houses. When we sold our first house and buying our second, went with an agent, and the agent represented us well, advertised well for us, walked us through the process well, but her own agency kind of did her wrong. So basically we're preparing to move. We're supposed to do all the closings on both in one day.
Oh, 2 in one day.
That's a lot of but we had people down helping us move, load up the truck and trailer so we can move all of our stuff. And like right before we're supposed to go to the office, we get a call. I'm like, all right, so you're going to bring, this much money to closing with you, right? This much cash to closing, right? And we're like, what are you talking about? Like, this is not something that we were prepared for, because we didn't know how much. We weren't told we were going to need to bring more money, because we were selling one house, thought it should cover it.
Yeah.
And I think it was just a miscalculation and a miscommunication. But our agent had a personal matter and wasn't going to be able to be at her closing. And we're like, well, do we need to push it off? And she's like, no, it'll work, because there's the other party is from our agency as well.
Oh, okay.
So we should be good. So we get there, and there's some back and forth, and they come in and we're like, all right, it's all worked out. And we're like, our agent's good with it? And they're like, yep. And so we go through with the closing.
Fine. Yeah.
Don't think anything else about it. So after the deal, we find out that they pretty much wiped out our agent's commission.
What?
To make the deal work.
Wow.
But didn't touch the other agent's commission. Like, so I would have thought, I guess in our head, that it got worked out. If they're taking some, they're going to split some. But I don't. That's not what. The way it was presented to us afterwards is not what happened. And we didn't find out until it was afterwards.
Yeah.
And I remember making the phone call to our agent, and then that's when she found out that how it all worked out. And we're like, we thought you knew, because they said you were good with it. And if this is supposed to be your team. Everything I've done, there's been a team.
Right. You
still work individually, but there's a team behind it.
Right.
But if your team is gonna do that to you, then I don't know that I want to work for that one either.
That would be tough. Yeah.
And I can say that coming in here, the teamwork aspect has been impressive. And there's not some of the conversations, some of the, hey, I'll do this for you, even the offer to go to show a house or be there at closing. So it has that team feel without the, well, I'll go do your closing for you, but you're going to have to cut me in.
I gotcha. Yeah.
That's not a concern here.
I think it is a pretty good, culture that we've created here, as far as I get a lot of help, and then of course they ask, agents here ask for help, from me, and they should. That's what this firm is. Any firm really, broker in charge. That's what they're supposed to do. They're not supposed to be, on vacation all the time, and the agents be on their own. So, yeah, I could see. As far as an agent side on compensation, now we use a 220 form, and that's a big stink in the industry as far as what's changed in the last, I'd say, 2 years, 24 months or so. They actually did have a change in our offer for July. They always usually change our paperwork in July, and they did not put the compensation form attached to the offer like I thought they would. So if y'all would have bet me money on that, I would have lost because I figured that was just a no-brainer. So, for instance, on sellers that are listening, you usually are going to probably end up having to pay compensation. It's not a set thing, but it's not a set amount. But for listing side and buyer's agents, usually, does it happen with the buyer brings their buyer's agent commission for compensation? Yes, it does, but very, very rarely. So that's what BJ here is talking about as far as what happened to his agent on a past transaction. So. What would you suggest? Here's one that for both careers. What would you suggest? New person. Let's go both police work. Let's just say, for instance, like your son. What would you say a suggestion for a new person in going into the police field and a new person going into real estate as far as license? What would you suggest them to find out before they start?
I guess it's not so much before they start, but as they start. Kind of the thing, if I were going back to tell me, at least in policing, and again, I guess it kind of transitions over, is to pay attention to your budget and pay attention to your debt management.
That's good advice.
Early on in policing, I made all the budget mistakes. I didn't have a budget. I did things the way that I watched my parents do them, but my parents were older. Like, I thought you were supposed to go to the grocery store and spend $300 and $400 on groceries every time you went, because that's what you did.
Right. That's what you got used to seeing.
That's what you got used to seeing.
Yep.
But in our situation, we didn't need to spend that much. And we had a lot of food going to waste because both of us were working at the time, and we'd come home at the end of the day and like, I don't feel like cooking. You feel like cooking? So we have all these groceries rotting, and then we go out to eat. Well, we didn't really have the money to eat because I was a police officer, she was a teacher. So we didn't really have the money to eat. And so to make it easier, I put it on a credit card. And then we got into credit card debt. And I didn't manage my debt, and I didn't manage my budget very well, or our budget very well. And so I knew I needed to do something about it. So it ended up being 2 401k loans and a bunch of sacrifices in the middle of my career that probably put a pause on a lot of things, like a lot of vacations. We just didn't have the money to do it.
Yeah.
A lot of things that we didn't get to do. And I'm telling my kids now, be careful with your credit cards. Be careful with your debt, because we probably had 10 to 15 years of trying to catch up before we could have got to I won't say financial freedom, but a whole lot better financial situation. It was easy to go out to dinner, or if you have that question of, I can pay a bill or I can go to dinner. Well, I'm probably going to eat, and then I'll put something on a credit card. You don't build this physique by not eating.
It's very
so.
It's very easy though to do, as far as credit card.
It was.
I mean, it's a lot of people. I went through some of the programs that everybody's heard of, Dave Ramsey and all that kind of thing, but I don't think it's advertised how easy it is to get into $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 worth of credit card debt. They're going to keep giving you higher cards and higher limits, and that's kind of a machine that they've made, so they can make money.
Well, and then we also made the mistakes of, this one's an introductory offer, so anything you transfer gets a zero. Well, you're already that much in debt, and you transfer it, and read the fine print. That's also good advice for both policing and here. Read the fine print, see what you're getting yourself into. But so we made all those mistakes, and I'm urging my kids, don't avoid. I'm not saying avoid. I take that back. I told my kids, don't get a credit card. My oldest didn't listen. He's got a credit card.
He's got a credit card.
So But I mean, I realize you need some debt. All debt's not bad.
Right.
You need some debt, and you need to build a credit history because that's the way the world works. But you need to be able to manage your debt.
Right.
And that's the mistake I made. And even in this, so I'd say I'd started working for you mid-February. And since mid-February, I've had a lot of leads. I've talked to a lot of people, but I've not bought or sold a house yet.
Mm-hmm.
So we're in July now, and I've not had a real paycheck come in.
A real paycheck, yeah.
And so, if I was in a position that I had to rely on this income for,
that's why I think that's why the ratio is so high of people falling out of it. It's super tough to start.
I think there's a lot of work to get into it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the schooling and the test was no joke. And so you devote a lot to get into it, and it's not a really easy transition because you're waiting on somebody else.
You're always waiting on something.
You're waiting on something. So
Yep.
you're waiting on a seller to sell, or a buyer to buy, or a lender to lend, an inspector to inspect. So you're always waiting on something else. That's probably the hardest thing that I've had to transition here, because in policing, you can make something happen.
Right.
Somebody's always going to speed. Somebody's always going to run a red light. There's always going to be a wreck. Unfortunately, there's always going to be somebody selling drugs.
Yeah, unfortunately.
There's things to do. It may not necessarily be what you like to do, but you can go find something. Now here, there's always people that are thinking about selling, but they're not always selling, and there's always people thinking about buying.
Yeah.
And so I think that's probably the biggest transition that I've had to face, is going from, working for somebody that tells me go do something, or I can go find something to do.
Go find it. Or
now I'm in sales, and it's my job to go find it.
Yeah.
And you're waiting on somebody else. It's easier when they're coming to you and be like, hey, when a buyer's ready, it's easy when they know what they want.
Yeah.
So you got to kind of talk to them a little bit to find out what they want.
Yeah, figuring that out is sometimes time consuming.
Yeah.
I mean, that's for sure.
And one of the buyers I'm working with now, like, we've looked at a handful of houses, but each time we go and look, and I get a lot. Each time we go and look, I learn a little bit more about them. So we've looked at a couple houses, and he really liked this setup. He didn't like this setup. So now when I'm sending houses to him to look at or to think about, I know, well, these are on the things that you don't necessarily like. These are the ones that you really do like. These are the ones
that you do like, yeah.
And so that constant feedback back and forth helps, because I can learn more about you. And I can learn more about what you as a buyer and or a seller wants.
That's a good point. For a new buyer that's listening or watching, definitely give your realtor, and really, some people don't know their self. If a realtor doesn't ask, what's your bedroom count that you have to have, because everybody's going to say, I'd love to have a 4-bedroom or a 5-bedroom house, but it doesn't align with their qualification, maybe, as far as their monthly payment and the purchase price. It's like, I want a 5-bedroom house. What's your qualification? I'm qualified for 205. And it's like, that don't line up.
So I think, and the kind of the way I've worded it is, when I try to talk to people, I want to know what your real estate needs and wishes are, because they are different.
They are different.
You may need 3 bedrooms,
yeah,
or you may need 4, and you think you're looking at a 2-bedroom. Well, that's not going to.
Right.
So to kind of hone that in. That's kind of the difference there. Now, there's a lot of carryover, like talking to people. Policing is a lot about talking to people.
Mm-hmm.
If you can talk to people, then you can get that information.
You can figure out a lot.
Real estate's about talking to people.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you want to buy a house, like, I can come to you and go, I want to buy a house. Well, that opens up a whole lot of questions.
Yeah. What kind we're at, what schools,
all of that, and all of that's important, or it's not important to you.
Right.
So it depends.
It may not be. Yeah.
And so that comes in the other skills that carry over from policing to real estate, the observation, you learn talking to people. You learn as much about what they want from what they don't say. If I ask you a question and you get real defensive, then I know that may be a touchy subject.
Yeah.
That's all stuff you learn in policing. It's all stuff that you can use here.
Yeah.
Your body language gives up a lot. If we walk into a house, and you may not say anything, but we walk into a house and your whole body slumps. that means there's something about this house you don't like. Or if you walk in a house and you get really, really excited, then I know, okay, there's something about this. Even if you don't know how to explain it to me.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't want to be sold to.
Right. A lot of people don't. Yeah.
I want you to buy a house. I don't want to have to sell you a house.
Yeah.
So people don't want to be sold to.
So be honest now, like when 27 and a half years of police work, when you walk into a house to show it, are you looking for exits and checking things still?
So we went on a listing appointment, and that's how I realized how much behind the curve I am in real estate versus policing. You and I were walking up to a house, a potential listing, and you're walking up to the house and you're looking at the roof and you're looking at the windows and you're looking at the landscaping, and I'm walking up to the house looking at, I guess I'm looking at windows because there's anybody in the window looking out, or I'm looking at escape routes. So how the quickest get in there? Where can people hide? Where can you hide stuff? And I think I even made the comment when we got, you walked in the house, opened the door, looked around. I walked in the house and I'm using the police tactics to figure out where everything is. And I think I made the comment midway through. It was like, you walk in the house like an agent, real estate agent. I walked in the house like a police officer. I think I got to work on that a little bit.
Well, here's the thing. BJ is probably going to be the safer agent to go with instead of me. You could just call him because he's going to make sure that you're safe inside the house. Not that I don't try, but he's definitely got the more experience there.
It was because I also let you go first, and I remember watching, and I remember thinking that going through the door, like he's walking in like a real estate agent. I'm still walking like a cop. So I guess I gotta learn about that. It took me about 3 passes through that house before I started looking. Man, this floor. The floor needs to be redone. The door's
right.
good.
The cabinets are good. Yeah, there's appliances in it.
The first trip through was making sure nobody was hiding. The second trip through was making sure I didn't miss anything. The third trip through was.
Well, we want everybody to definitely give you a call or text and give you an opportunity, to show them a property or list, a property for them. I mean, that's kind of where we're at right now. I want everybody to entrust in you like I have. You've got the Hepler Realty behind you as far as the firm. We're at 14 agents now, and I highly recommend BJ for you guys to use both on the selling side and the buying side for sure. What do you think you've learned on the process, just going through and kind of watching and hearing through the office and stuff, as far as, does that surprise you? Is the process of, on the agent side, getting a buyer under contract, inspected, appraised, lended, and all that, does that surprise you on the process lengthwise? Or
it seemed to take a little longer than I seem to remember. And I guess maybe it was just the excitement of buying a house or selling a house. Like, I didn't think it took that long. But I can see over the ones I bought versus trying to do it now. Just that it seems to be a whole lot more paperwork than it used to be. Now,
it has changed. Yeah,
paperwork doesn't scare me.
Right.
A lot of policing is about paperwork, and you want to make sure it's right. So that part the paperwork doesn't scare me. Other than I'm scared that it's not right. So I will go back a second or third time to make sure the paperwork is right. But it's basically a checklist, and a lot of what we did in policing was checklists. You do this, you do that, you do that, and so I guess another carryover from policing is that every house is an investigation, and so the whole process, you can think of the whole process as an investigation. So you want to know what's happened with a house and or what might happen with a house. So you look at the house, you look at the price,
way to put it. Yeah.
You look at the neighborhood, you look at the buyer or seller. Like, why are they selling? You want to know those things. Why do they want to buy this one?
You want all the pieces of the puzzle so you can kind of determine. Yeah.
And I guess it's worked out too, asking some of those questions in that process. So far, like I guess I've prevented 3 scams from Hepler Realty so far.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I'm able to do now is I see some of the internet leads come in, and I can look at them and try to contact them. And this is actually the second case, but the first one I really followed up on like that was somebody was trying to harass a homeowner, and he happened to be a real estate somewhere else, and he's been doing it for years, like 8 or 9 years. He's been listing this property for sale.
Wow.
And I called the owner, who happened to be an agent, and he's like, I don't know what this guy's deal is, but he's been doing it for 8 or 9 years. He changes one little thing, and then he gets different agencies to list my property. So it's
Wow.
it's a headache, and
Yeah.
every few years I got to go through this. He said, but you're the first one that's ever stopped it before it started.
Really?
So his house has been listed for his lake house has been listed for sale several times over the last 8 or 10 years.
Ain't that something?
And he was like, but you're the first one to catch it before they started trying to list it. I was like, it just didn't feel right. The other two kind of using, I don't know if I don't quite understand the scam yet, like what they get out of it. But the other two are people get public information and then find a property and say they want to list it. But they won't communicate by phone. They'll only try to communicate by text or through the website.
Yeah.
And then when you do actually talk to them, you can tell something's not right because they don't remember their name or they mispronounce their name, and you're like,
It's kind of odd, yeah. If
it's
they
very,
don't know their own, yeah, you kind of
very, very odd.
That's a pointer, yeah.
So that's, I guess that's the carryover of the checklist, asking all the questions.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are listening to this and you feel like I'm interrogating you, I don't mean to. Carrie said I have a habit of interrogating our kids when I ask them questions. It's because sometimes asking questions a little different way, you get better answers.
You're gonna get better answers. That's for sure. I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. Your kids have come out pretty good.
I think I've interrogated my kids a couple of times.
Maybe we need to get you in here to interrogate, some other people, the agents in the office. Maybe they'll produce more. What did you do with your time yesterday? What do you think on the real estate market? You probably don't know that it's probably a little softer now, now versus before you came. But do you feel like things are moving as fast as they did, before you started, or do you think it's about the same, or what does it feel like?
I think everybody has an opinion about the real estate market. I've heard from people in real estate and people not in real estate that this is a buyer's market right now, it's a seller's market right now. You've mentioned a couple of times that now that it's a softer market, which I take it to mean that things are kind of leveling out a little bit, and not as many houses are sitting a little longer.
Yep.
They're still selling, but not selling quite as fast. And I think it's kind of a ripple in what the market has done in the past. So I knew some people I know some people that were looking for houses during COVID time. One was looking for a house, and he was like, "It's crazy. People are paying $20,000 and $30,000 over this price just to get into a house." Well, I think that when you transition from that, it's got to create something, because now people have paid $30,000 more for the house, and they want to sell that house, and they may or may not be able to. That may or may not be what the appraised price is. So I think that definitely causes a slowdown. But I think what people need to realize with the real estate market is that it's a very individual thing. We can make a blanket statement about the market as a whole.
Yeah. It just depends on their situation.
If you want to buy a house, then now's a great time to do it. Like, you can keep waiting, but now's a great time to buy. The interest rate may not be what you want, but I don't know that we're going to see a 2% interest rate again anytime soon.
That's one of the things that I've kind of talked to some young people this week, actually, and it's their interest rates, we're going to wait on them to go down to 3 again. It's like, well, what if they go up? And nobody wants to hear that. But if you look at it at a longer period of time, about a 40-year, 6.5 is kind of where our average is right now. 6.5 is pretty good compared to 16, 17.
When I bought when I bought my second house, we were somewhere in that 6% range, but prior to that, it had been 9%. So, we would have been happy with a 9%.
Right, at the time, sure.
I know, and now looking in the, further back, like my parents and my grandparents, at one point they had a loan that was like 22%.
Oh, wow.
Now, I think that was a refinance and a very specific reason, but,
still,
22% versus 6% sounds pretty good.
Right.
And it's, obviously money plays a big part of it, but the dream is not necessarily about the money. The dream is about the house.
Yeah.
And we spend a lot of money on things that don't bring us value the same way.
Oh yeah.
We spend a lot of money on cars. We spend a lot of money on tattoos. We spend a lot of money on eating out. We spend a lot of money that don't bring us the same value that a house brings.
Right.
So regardless of what the market's doing, whether it's a a buyer's market, seller's market. If you look at it individually and you help that person individually, it's the market that they need it to be.
That's true.
That's maybe you find you may not get as good a deal as you could have a few years ago, but you weren't buying a house a few years ago.
Right.
You're buying a house now.
Yeah.
Let's try to find the right deal for now.
Yeah, that's one difference too that people don't realize, especially young people. It's not their fault. They just haven't bought. They may have been too young for their, to watch their parents buy their property, that they're living in. And I see a lot of we don't want to put that much money into, a property as far as down payment. There's programs, I've done videos on them. There's North Carolina's got a 15,000. FHA is usually 3.5%. You can go down here, and if you've got a membership to state employees, they still got a 0, down payment for first-time buyers. And I think they're still giving maybe $2,000 in closing costs. I'm not really, advertising that you have to go there. I'm just telling you there's programs everywhere. There's some great. We're going to actually have a lender come in here to the studio probably in a week or so that works for Movement Mortgage. It's not that you have to use, Movement Mortgage. You could use pretty much any lender that you have. But I think the new buyers need to understand that if it appreciates, if that home that you buy today at a 6.5% interest rate, if it appreciates like it has in the past, around 2 to 3.5% every single year, and then you sell it, you'll get your down payment back, even if you had to put down payment. So there's different ways and perspective that you can look at buying that would probably change most of your minds if you're on the fence, not wanting to buy it for any reason, interest rate or price. So everybody, kind of remembers 08 and 09. I was licensed then, and I'll still say it's still a good time. Just like BJ just said, it's still a good time to purchase. And if you want to know more information, give him a call. Go ahead and give your number one more time here at the end, and we'll
336-823-4331 or BJ Mac at HeplerRealty.com.
BJ Mac at Hepler Realty. All right. Well, I appreciate your time today. It's definitely, time is very valuable. And you want to add anything else before we kick this one?
No, I'm looking forward to see what happens in this real estate career.
I hope so. We've got all the trust in the world with BJ here, so definitely give him a shout, give him a text or a call, and give him a shot and give you great service here at Hepler Realty for your next transaction. Thank you, guys. Y'all have a great day.